Everything is mapped up in this call. It's kind of like my own personal credit startup guide, whether if you have no credit, little credit, or even if you have bad credit, you can follow this. Um, I put 0 to 100K in trade lines only just because that is mostly what I use. I use only authorized users, or you can call them trade lines, whatever you know the names to be. Um, so let's get right into it. Right, so I went from no credit to set for life. I literally do not have to touch my personal credit at all anymore if I didn't want to. Now I'm assuming down the line, maybe 5, 10 years from now, or even 3 years from now, there will be some new credit cards that come out on the block that I might want to grab. But as of right now, I do not have to touch my personal credit at all. I'm set. I have all the cards I need for travel hacking, for, cash back, whatever it might be that you value. I have it all, right? It took me probably, like I said, 6 months to go from no credit to set for life. I'm going to show you guys exactly how to get there. So if that is your goal, you will learn that by the end of this video. Now, a lot of the people, they're like, why do I want good credit, or why do I want 100K in funding? I actually got this comment on one of my videos. They're like, why would someone want access to 100K in funding? And my answer is like, why wouldn't you? Right? If someone gave you $100,000 and told you flip it, or double it, or make some money off of it, you better figure out how to make more money off of it, right? Credit is, it's skyrocketing. It's gonna 2x your business if you need more funds, or if you believe in it, right? It's gonna allow you to take that risk and go in on things that you might not have been able to if you didn't have the credit. And credit is also the foundation of life, right? If you want to go get a car, you want to go get a phone from T-Mobile, you want to go get a house, if you want to start your business, right, and you don't have access to capital, or you have no credit, right, you won't be able to get these things without having good credit. A lot of people want this information because schools don't teach this. You can't go take a class on Credit 101, or how to get $100,000 in business funding, or there's no business credit class in high school or college or anything like that, right? So that's why I'm here bridging the gap and giving you guys this information. And I also think that credit helps you avoid financial hardships, right? Let's say you're out of work for 3 months, 6 months, whatever it might be. You're going through a tough time. You have a little bit more bills than usual. You might have to do all these regular things. You can go get a 0% interest card, put your expenses on it, right? And then find a job, figure it out in the next 3 to 6 months, right? And you still have that 12 months, 18 months, whatever type of card that you get, to be able to stay afloat, rather than digging into your savings or digging into everything that you have, right? And you're living paycheck to paycheck. You can actually put it on your 0% business credit card, or whatever type of credit cards you have access to. All right, this is everything that took me from 0 to 100K in available credit in 6 months. No joke. I literally stayed down for 6 months. I saved all of my money. I put everything I had towards building my credit. I spent all my time towards learning building my credit, and I'm going to give away the entire strategy today. Now, you might see this $25,000 approval. I've posted it before on Instagram, but doing things the right way, it does pay off. Learning the right information, it does pay off. Don't go follow these TikToks, or, all these things that FOMO you into going to apply for these credit cards, because credit is chess, right? You have to make calculated decisions, and you have to map out your game plan. So if you see some things in this call, you're like, oh shit, like I could go do that, or I think I would really like benefit off that card. Let's wait for a second. Let's gather our game plan. Ask questions if you need to, answer questions throughout the presentation. But basically, what I'm trying to say is, do not jump the gun, right? I want you guys to be as successful as possible and get to your goals as fast as possible. And jumping the gun will not do that. But like I said, credit is chess. You have to make calculated decisions, because every move matters. If you make the wrong decision now, it might set you back for 3 months, or, vice versa. So where I started, I was at level one, no credit, no knowledge, no nothing. I didn't know how credit worked. I didn't know what a credit card was. I didn't even know credit was good for you. And I didn't know you could use it to obtain business funding, travel for free, all the luxuries that credit comes with, even the cash back. I saw someone pay for their wedding off a cash back. It was ridiculous, right? So a lot of people, they're like, where do I start? I'm at level one. What can I do? You have to become a sponge. Some people you might know me from Renee's group. He taught me everything that I knew. Become a sponge and soak up all the free information that you can, because it will benefit you in the end. And after you soak up the information, it's on you to execute. Don't be an info hoarder. Don't be a mental masturbator, I like to call it, and just hoard the information and not do anything with it, because the information means nothing if you do not execute. So that's where I started. I became a sponge. I learned from Renee. I asked him great questions. He gave me a game plan, and I executed. And there was also things along the way that I probably could have done better. But if there's one thing that you take from this specific presentation is data mining and relationships. It's literally that simple. You see on the screen, it's bank plus handshake equals money. If I could put business funding or credit in one simple equation, this is it right here. Bank plus handshake equals money. You go to the bank, you make handshakes with business relationship managers. It will make your process in the credit space so much more easier if you learn how to shake hands, if you learn how to make relationships, especially at the banks. Building relationships with people you want funding from is super important. If you didn't have a relationship with the bank, rather than having a relationship with the bank, it can make your approval difference like 20K. I noticed someone, they had a banking relationship manager with Chase, and instead of the normal 15K that they would have got, they got 50K because the banker vouched for them. They told them what they need to fix on their credit and what their credit should look like before even applying. So these things, data mining and building relationships with banks and banking relationship managers, that will 100% speed up your process in the credit space. So let's get into the nitty gritty stuff, everything that took me from 0 to 100K in 6 months, right? So you guys heard me talk about Navy Federal, the $25,000 instant approval that I got. That is where I started. I started off with Navy Federal. I actually learned the roommate play through Renee. He has a podcast on it. If you guys need that specific link, I can send that to you guys. But I maximize with NFCU. That will take you probably to the moon in your credit in your credit journey. If you can get into Navy Federal using the roommate play, whether if you have like a grandparent or you have like a brother or a friend that's in Navy Federal, you can get in using the roommate play. Legitly, do not go telling people you have a fake grandpa that died that you don't have docs for, or your mom was in but she doesn't have her docs. Do not lie because they'll eventually audit your account and it'll get shut down, right? We're all about doing things the correct way and the legit way here, rather than listening to these TikToks and doing all these random things that gurus might tell you on the internet. So I maximized with NFCU. I got their flagship checkings, right? Because it's actually been proven that it boosts your internal score if you have their highest tier checking account. So I got their flagship checkings, and then after 90 days, I turned on the overdraft protection service. That basically is just a no credit check product, another product with Navy Federal that boosts your internal score. It shows them that you want to be responsible with the account and that you possibly won't ever go into any overdraft fees or anything like that. And also direct deposits. I had direct deposits for about 3 months of totaling maybe to like 2 to 5K per month on direct deposits, just because they see money's coming in, and I also had a highly high daily bank balance, so they'd rather you see like a lot of money in your account rather than no money in your account, right? They want to see that some people, they only have one bank. They're like, okay, he has this X amount of money, or he doesn't have this much money. So it will definitely increase your approval odds and give you those higher limits. And with Navy Federal, I mentioned that internal score. That internal score will matter a lot more with Navy Federal than your actual FICO score. So if you have the high internal score and a low FICO score, I've actually seen people with like a 580 FICO get 25K instant approval. That's their max with no docs at Navy Federal on the cash rewards. So that internal score really does matter. In doing these things, it will pay off in the end. And then the pledge loan hack. I learned the pledge loan hack from Renee. He taught me about the pledge loan hack and how it generates an installment account on your credit profile, 99% paid off, and it's really good. Now you might say, oh, I'm opening a new account. It might lower my average age of accounts. It will help you more in the long run rather than it will hurt you in the short term. So it shows that good credit mix. It shows a 99% installment account paid off on your account, and it also shows how you are able to handle and be responsible with that money, right? So let's say you did 5 or 10K. It shows that you put up 5, 10,000 of your own money and you actually physically paid it off. So those things with Navy Federal will actually get you that $25,000 instant approval after at least doing that for 3 months. So now, before my first sequence, I had to build some type of credit. I didn't just go apply for all these cards, no credit, no nothing. That's not how it works. I wish it did. I actually had to take about 3 months to build my credit first, right? So I got 2 authorized users. I recommend you ask your trusted family and friends, whoever that you trust that is financially stable and trustworthy, because you don't want to be giving your social out to anybody just for these authorized users. Get them from them. You might be able to incentivize them with 200-300 bucks, whatever it may be, but if you can get them for free, that's the best way. So I got 2 authorized users from my uncle. He actually had a 7-year Capital One card and a 10-year Capital One card, both at 15K credit limits, which is astonishing because Capital One, they do not give out credit limits like that. They're actually very stingy, but he told me he built it up over the course of those 7 to 14 years. And he put me on there, and it instantly generated me a score of like 723. And then it boosts my average age of accounts to 2 years. And then I had the 3 months was from the actual pledge loan that I did with Navy Federal prior to my actual sequence. And then I had a utilization of 3% just because my uncle, didn't pay off his balances in full and whatnot. And you have to be very careful of that when getting authorized users, because later down the line in my second sequence, I actually ran into a huge roadblock that I will discuss later. But before I applied, I had a score of 713 on Experian, 703 on Equifax, and 705 in TransUnion. And I had Datamined with Chase. I had the regular checking account, and I had an Amex high yield savings account, and then I had the Navy Fed checking and savings. Right. So my first sequence, I went for the Apple Card. I got approved $8,000 credit limit. There's no sign up bonus on it. But the cool thing with the Apple Card is it's no inquiry and no annual fee. So you can actually run what they call the pre-qual play. I'm sure, hopefully you've seen it online somewhere. If not, I'm going to give you guys the play right now. Basically on the Apple Card that they're still doing, it still works. It's not patched or anything like that. You can go and put in, fill out the application. Give me a guide. Appreciate it, bro. Yeah, 100%. Make sure you guys are taking notes. But if you guys are starting out, the Apple Card is great, right? It's got no annual fee, no inquiry, but I'm going to give you guys the no inquiry hack right now. So you would go in and fill out your application normally as if you actually were going to go get the credit card. And it'll say, "Oh, you're pre-approved for, mine was $8,000 in this case," right? And once I saw my pre-approval limit, I went to TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. I froze all of my bureaus, and then I accepted their offer. So once I accepted their offer, it allowed me to get the Apple Card with no inquiry at all. So after that, I was like, oh man, I'm golden, right? My credit limit is high. Typically, you want 5 to 10K credit limits, so you have high comparable credit. And Apple Card is underwritten by Goldman Sachs. They're a very great financial institution, and it let me put my foot in the door everywhere else. That really skyrocketed my journey. And then I was like, okay, Apple gave me 8K. Let's go check the Amex Gold, or the Amex pre-qualified tool. It's called the Apply with Confidence tool. So I went there, and they actually showed me all of their cards because I data mined with them beforehand. I had their Amex high yield savings, which I probably had about like 50 bucks in before applying. It was like no fees to keep it open. It's a regular savings account. Throw 50 bucks in there just to basically, like we said, shake hands and let them know, like, hey, I'm a customer here. I want to eventually get some stuff from you in the future, but right now I just want to let you guys know who I am. So I got that Amex high yield savings account, and I went to the Apply with Confidence tool on Amex, and I checked to see what cards they pre-approved me for. And they actually pre-approved me for every single card. It went from the Amex Platinum, the Amex Gold, the Amex Green, all the Amex Delta cards, right? They had everything on there. And now some people, they see the Amex Platinum, they're like, oh my God, like, why not? Like, let's go get it. It just didn't make sense, right? It's like a $700 annual fee card. Even though like the benefits outweigh it, there's just a different play that you can do that I'll go over later in the presentation. But I ended up deciding on the Amex Gold. It's a great everyday spender card. You get 4x back on flights and hotels, 3x back on groceries, and then I believe 2x back on dining out. So, and it's a charge card. Yeah, favorite everyday card. Gotta be mine. I spend on it all the time. They had a $90,000 90,000 point sign up bonus. and it was super easy to hit. It was like spend 3K in 6 months, and realistically, I spend about like $700 per month on groceries anyway, right? And we also know those resale return methods that I can go over if you guys need help with MSing. But I hit the sign up bonus, which is about $2,700 in value for travel hacking, or if you redeem it for cash back, whatever it might be. And the cool thing with Amex is you always want to start off on the personal side, right? Because if you go from the personal side to the business side, you only get soft pulled. But if you go back vice versa, business to personal, you will get hard pulled twice. So you get basically all your cards soft pulled after getting a personal card first. So that's why you always want to start on the Amex side first. And with the Amex Gold, there's actually the prequel hack, kind of just like what we did with the Apple Card, but we're limiting the inquiries that we get. So when you go to the apply with confidence and you accept the offer, you'll go and freeze your TransUnion because Amex is actually known for pulling double. They pull Experian and TransUnion, and you would go and freeze your TransUnion and accept the Experian inquiries because sometimes some people like wiping inquiries and it's really easy to do on Experian, but I personally kept it because I value my relationship with Amex. So after I accepted the Amex Gold offer, you used to be able to go and get the Blue Business Plus directly the next day for a soft pull. Now that is no longer working. You have to wait for the Amex Gold to actually post on your credit report before you can go and get the Amex Blue Business Plus or any other card at a soft pull. So this play, it worked for me back then, but it would be a little bit longer, probably like that 30-40 day mark for you to go and get that Blue Business Plus on a soft pull. But I ended up doing it the next day because it still worked, and I got Amex Blue Business Plus, which is a 0% APR card. I got it on a sole proprietorship, a 15K credit limit out the gate, which is really cool. And it's 2x back on everything. It's a cool card to have, but those 0% APR is really what we use it for. It had a 30,000 point sign up bonus, which was super easy to hit. I think it was like it was outlandish kind of, I think it was like 7 or 8K in 3 months to, get the 30,000 points, which is like really not worth it. But, who doesn't want more points? We can value it at a certain amount, or, we can use it to travel hack. But the cool thing with the Blue Business Plus is you can request double your limit in 90 days. So I had that card for 90 days and I requested from 15 to 30, and it actually went through. My new credit limit is 30K, and there's no annual fee, so it doesn't really hold too much weight on us. It's just a cool back pocket card to have. And 2x for everything is super super solid. A lot of places they do 1x or even 1.5x, so 2x on everything, any category. I believe it's up to $50,000 in spend every single year is pretty cool. They actually have a employee card bonus going on right now that I considered doing, but that can be for a later discussion. So after, my data points, this is what I used to apply for the Apple Card. My stated income was 1,000 and my rent was 1,000. And then for the Amex cards, I kept it really smooth and simple. Stated income is 72K. The rent was 0, and my business revenue for the Blue Business Plus was 150K. And then I also kept the inquiry with my Amex Gold, like I had mentioned previously, just because, wiping inquiries with certain institutions can, jeopardize your relationship with them. Now, before my second sequence, so this sequence was literally probably like month 2 of me building my credit. Now, my second sequence was probably month 4. I waited time in between getting the Apple Card, Amex Gold, and the Blue Business Plus, and I built out my account a little bit more. I got another authorized user from my aunt. I got another pledge loan, right? So I needed to boost my average age of accounts. I needed to account for the new accounts that posted on there, the Apple Card, Amex Gold, Amex Blue Business Plus. They will bring my average age of accounts down. So I had to do something to combat that. So I got another pledge loan. I actually did from 5K to 10K on the pledge loan. So I had one previously in my first sequence. I had a 5K pledge loan, and then I went and did a $10,000 pledge loan because you always want to do more than the first amount, whatever it is that you did for a pledge loan. So if your first amount was for 5,000, you at least want to do 6,000 or 7,000. Make sure you're doing more than you did the first time. And then I got another authorized user just because my average age of accounts was really low. And then you guys see my utilization is at 10% here. Now that's industry standard. People will say, 1 to 10% is really good. I personally vouch and I say 1 to 3%. But that's just me, you know. But you see here, my utilization was crazy. I personally think 10% is crazy. 1 to 3% is cool for me. But one of my authorized users, they maxed out their credit card and they didn't pay it off. And I was like, no, I literally I didn't talk to my uncle about it. And I was like, man, it's kind of weird asking like an authorized user to be like, hey, can you pay off this like $6,000 in debt you have on your card? Because it's kind of messing me up. It's kind of a weird conversation to have, especially when they're doing so much for you already and allowing you to piggyback off their credit and helping you so much with just by you being on their card. And so I didn't say anything, and my utilization was at 10%, and I kind of had to take that on the chin. I don't really think it deflated my credit limits too much, but that was just one thing I wanted to mention to you guys is when you're getting authorized users, make sure you can get into like a sock drawer card is what I like to call, something that nobody spends on, or maybe they spend a little bit on it and pay it off every single month, whatever it might be, because you do not want this case to happen where your utilization skyrockets before you go in for a sequence and therefore hurting you, skyrocketing your utilization and messing you all up. So I just want to make sure you guys are aware of that, make sure they're very trustworthy and they're financially stable, and it's a card that they rarely use. After that, my score was about 784 across the board, from everything I did, the new authorized user that I got, the new installment loan that I got, and the credit cards that I got previously over here actually boosted my score. And then I went and got a built account. So you can actually have a built account and not have a built credit card. And I also had a Wells Fargo checking account. And then the previous Amex High Yield Savings and the Navy Federal checking and savings. I just had a little bit more money in those and kind of allocated each limit, because the Amex Gold you can actually split pay and get $2,500 off of and use it for whatever you want. So if you want to use it towards, getting more funding, or if you want to go use it to go do a pledge loan, you can do Amex split pay like that. And then I also liquidated the Amex Blue Business Plus. I liquidated probably about like 7,000 of it because I didn't want to freak Amex out too much and liquidate the whole 15K. I basically just did the retail return method at Dick's, and that was ridiculous. That allowed me to do $7,000 in one transaction, straight return to debit, and it was golden. And I used that 7,000 to put in those my built checking account and my Chase checking account. So that really helped me and get these approvals. So my second sequence, I kind of clicked too far. You see, I went Chase first because initially I got 3 cards, right? And if you guys are aware of the 524 rule with Chase, you cannot have more than 5 cards in a 24-month period. And so I wanted to immediately hit Chase and get that 524 rule out of the way. I went to Chase first and checked their pre-qualification tool that they still have and that you can still use. I got the Chase Sapphire Preferred first. They were showing me the Reserve, but I personally just like it didn't really matter to me because you can upgrade to the Preferred from the Reserve after a year. So it didn't really, benefit me in any way, and I would be missing out on the Reserve bonus if I go straight to the Reserve. I can't downgrade and get the bonus on the Preferred. So I chose to do the Chase Sapphire Preferred first, and I got a 20,000 instant approval, 60,000 point sign up bonus, and I got the 524 rule out of the way, and it has no annual fee, so it's perfect. And honestly, Chase Sapphire Preferred is another great everyday card. I would say the Amex Gold and the Chase Sapphire Preferred are really good. It's just you can use the Amex card for flights and you can use the Chase card for your hotels. And now I decided to double dip. I tried the double dip play with literally going back to back and applying for the Chase Hyatt card. You can do this sometimes successfully and only on one inquiry, but it didn't work for me. I actually ended up getting a second inquiry from it, which is okay. I ended up wiping it anyways. But the Chase Hyatt card, I personally am a huge Hyatt fan. I love all the Hyatt properties. They have great redemptions outside of the US and even inside of the US. You know, they have one of the best point systems for booking hotels. So I decided to get the World of Hyatt card. And you'll see here, I got a $10,000 reconsideration approval because when I initially applied after getting the Chase Sapphire Preferred, literally minutes in between, they said, you know, please wait 7 to 10 business days for our decision. So what I did is I called the next day, which was like a Tuesday, and I called the reconsideration line. I said, hey, you know, like you guys gave me the 7 to 10 day message saying I have to wait, and you know, I really want to push this approval through. And I just made up a story. Basically, you know, oh, I'm going to I think I said I was going to Texas to go visit my grandma. So that way I need this card so I can stay at a Chase location, whatever, you know, just making stuff up, literally, just trying to, you know, build that connection with the rep on the phone. And they were like, "Oh, like that's amazing. Thank you for your interest in this card. Right? Let's see what we can do to get you approved for this." And they didn't even, you know, there was no pushback at all. It was super easy. And they were like, okay, you know, after reviewing like your credit profile, you know, we did see you just got approved for a Chase Sapphire Preferred. So is there any reason why, you know, you applied for the same card back to back? And I was just like, oh, well, like I said, I need to go visit my grandma in Texas. You know, I'm surprising her, whatever. And I heard this card would be really good to get into a Hyatt property. And they were like, oh yeah, yeah, that makes sense. All right, like let's see what I can do. And they pushed the approval through. They reran my credit, which is where I got the second inquiry, and they pulled from TransUnion rather than from Experian. And then I still took the approval because it was 10,000, and you know I really like traveling with all the Hyatt properties. So it kind of was a double dip. It kind of wasn't. I still ran into that inquiry, but it's okay. I got a 30,000 point sign up bonus, which is like $900 in value, and I'm saving it now so that way I can use it to travel hack maybe out of the States sometime this year. Now, my next card I went and got, I kind of went for the TransUnion Bureau and tried to knock those out. So I actually got the Barclays Aviator Red, which is like a very like not from the norm. It's very straight away from the norm that everyone does. I got this card because they actually have a really, really cool incentive is where you spend $1 on the card anywhere. It doesn't have to be anything. I actually recorded a video on this, me going to buy a McChicken at McDonald's, and I got 60,000 points from that McChicken. So you spend $1 on the card and you get 60,000 American Airlines points. And that will allow me to basically, that's like, I want to say 20,000 points away from a business class flight to, you know, anywhere in the United States. Exactly. It was one hell of a chicken sandwich, right? 60,000 points, about $1,800 in value. It does have $100 annual fee, and Barclays, they're super, super stingy. Like they do not like doing credit limit increases. They do not like doing any of this stuff. They gave me 5K, which was my lowest limit. And I was just like, you know, whatever. And it wasn't an instant approval. I did have to call the reconsideration line and clear some things up and basically feed them another story. But they did end up approving me for the Aviator Red card. I just will use this in the future to travel hack with American Airlines. I personally like flying American Airlines, and they're partnered with a lot of different airlines that I can transfer points to. So that's where I saw the benefit in that card. And then I went and got the Navy Federal Cash Rewards, right? I got that $25,000 instant approval. It had no annual fee. It pulls TransUnion, and people were like, "Oh, why don't you just get the flagship rewards credit card, the Amazon card with cash with Navy Federal?" And personally, I don't really like annual fees, but I'll pay them, you know, if it makes sense. But this one, you know, like you can upgrade or you can downgrade, whatever it is. The cash rewards is just so we have that high comparable credit, and we showing that $25,000 credit limit to the credit bureaus. Next, I went and got the Built credit card. Honestly, the Built credit card is another one of those great everyday cards. So you have that Built, Amex Gold, and the Chase Sapphire Preferred. Those are all great, great everyday cards. Honestly, I could argue that Built is probably the number one everyday card right now with all the Built day, the rent days that they have going on in the first of every single month, the transfer bonuses that they have going on, the ability to earn points, earn Built points without even having the card is ridiculous, right? So I did have that Chase checking, I mean that Wells Fargo checking account because Wells Fargo underwrites the Built card. So I put a lot of money in my Wells Fargo checking account to influence a higher limit approval with Built. So I ended up getting $10,000 no docs, and they do not have a sign up bonus, but they have what's called a $50,000 secret sign up bonus. When you get the Built card in the mail, as soon as it touches in the mail, I don't know how they know this, but as soon as that card touches the mail, you'll get a text message from Built saying you have I want to say it's 72 hours to do up to at least $50,000 in spend. And you get, 1 point for each dollar that you spend. So what I did, I just MS'd on it. I MS'd on it like crazy. I probably did around, I want to say like 20K in MS in under 2 days. And then I used one of the homies bulk buying groups to cover out the rest of the 30K that I wanted to get for that $50,000 for the 50,000 points secret sign up bonus. And they ended up pulling Experian, and it was a no annual fee card. So that was really, really easy approval on that side. And then let's see. James said, "What's considered a lot of money for the Wells Fargo checking account?" I put like 5K in my Wells Fargo checking account. If you guys have been keeping track this entire time, you guys would have seen I got 95,000 in total in credit limits in 6 months, right? $9,600 in value for sign-up bonuses, whether if it's travel hacking, redeeming for cash back, anything like that. I got $9,600 in value for sign-up bonuses. I'm saving all those points. I'm saving whether if I want to redeem for cash back, just to, hoard that stuff. And if I go out of the country later, I'll be set. And then I only got 6 inquiries in total across 3 credit reporting agencies. So I have three on Experian, I have one on Equifax, and I had two on TransUnion. Sip of this water real quick. So the data points for these cards, the last second spree that I got, are as stated. The Chase, Navy Federal, and Built card stated was 100K income. Rent was 1,000, and I kept all the inquiries. Just because, like I said, I am very, very um, protective when it comes to my relationships with these good credit cards like Built, Chase, and Navy Federal. I do not want to get anything closed out just by wiping the inquiries. And the Barclays, I did a smooth 72,000, rent zero, and I kept the inquiry just because they're super stingy as it is, and they are a hard institution to get into. I honestly was expecting a denial with them. Now, there was a lot of things I wish I actually would have done better. Now, you might see like, oh, 100K is ridiculous, right? In 6 months, it's like, really, I could have influenced so many more higher limits. We all make mistakes. I'm not perfect, and I don't expect you guys to be perfect either. And my sequence wasn't perfect at all. There was a lot of things I wish I could have done different. So, like, I wish I would have liquidated more of the BBP to obtain higher limits, right? So I only did 7K at first, and I put like 2K here, 2K over here, 3K over here. I wish I would have done more. Just because, the more the merrier. That's literally the saying. If I would have put, the whole 7,000 in one account applied and then moved it to the next account applied, I probably would have got higher limits. Just from the bank seeing I have a high daily bank balance. The next point is not rushed. Honestly, like it's cool to get 100,000 in 6 months, but honestly, if I would have waited 6 more months or even a year and a half, whatever it might be, my results would be insane, right? Now, I still did get, pretty decent limits to most people that look at it from the outside looking in. I have so many people that messaged me when I posted this. They're like, I'm 30 years old, or I'm 25 years old, and I'm stuck with $300 credit limits or $1,000 credit limits or $4,000 credit limits. Like, how do you do this? So to me, like, I guess it was a little bit on the low side. I actually probably could have got more if I would have waited and played everything strategically. Now, I wish I probably wouldn't have gotten the Amex high yield savings account because um, it's cool to data mine with Amex, like we know, but the Amex high yield savings account makes you ineligible for the business checking account, and they offer a $50,000 sign up bonus just for having the business checking account on the Amex side. Now, it doesn't really make sense to me why, a personal savings account would interfere with a business checking account. So hopefully they fix that in the future, but the Amex high yield savings account, it does not give you points for signing up to it, but the business checking does. Um, so I personally like, you weigh it out on certain scales, and I personally think I still would have got approved for the Amex Gold card without having the Amex high yield savings account. And same too, Jerry. Like as soon as I figured out I couldn't get the Amex business checking, I was so mad because like that's 50,000 points I could be sitting on right now, right? And you can value them at 3 cents per point, right? You can travel hack with them, whatever it might be. I missed out. So if I had I would have knew that sooner, I wouldn't have got the Amex high yield savings account. And like I said earlier, I would have used Amex Split Pay to liquidate more of the card. I did not liquidate the Amex Gold as much as I probably should have. Um, because the whole thing with a lot of people in the credit space is they don't have the capital or like the actual physical money, right? The split pay and liquidating our business, the BBP, right? That allows us to have that money and go obtain business funding with it. And some parts of me, I was like, oh, I got $15,000 business credit card. Let me go spend some of this, right? Let me go. I bought a drone. I took a flight somewhere. All these different things. Because like I don't have to pay it back in for 12 months. So I was like, okay, I really like kind of limited myself not taking the funding and going obtaining more funding with that funding that I originally got. Um, so those are the things I probably wish I would have done better in my sequence. Now since then, this is what I've been working on, right? I got Apple Card from 8K to 16K because in the first 90 days you can get double your limit. Now, same thing with the Amex Blue Business Plus. You can get double to triple your limit. I actually got my BBP to go from 15 to 45K. So for 3 months, I had 0% APR of 15K. And then for the next 9 months of that 0% APR, I had access to 45K. Like that is nuts. That's more money than I've seen so many people get in their approvals, right? And you can even ask yourself that question. What would you do with 9 months of 0% APR of access to $45,000? Some of you are in Amazon FBA. Some of you do all these different things, right? You might have some property improvements you can do and value add to your real estate, whatever it might be, right? That is a huge credit line to have access to. And then I did the Amex Gold Play, right? So what I told you guys earlier is why wouldn't I go for the platinum offer it? Because I knew that I can go from the Amex Gold and upgrade to the platinum. After about 6 months, your Amex Gold will send you a offer in the mail saying, hey, you're eligible to upgrade from the gold to the platinum, and they'll still let you hit that sign up bonus. So Amex sent me a notification in the mail saying, hey, you can upgrade from the gold to the platinum for 150,000 sign up bonus points. And I was like, okay, like why not? That's a no-brainer. I'll pay the $700 for the year, right? Hit the sign up bonus and then downgrade after the year is over. It's like they can't say like, oh, what like you have to keep this card. You don't. You literally keep the card for the year, right? Eat that $700 and you downgrade afterwards. Who's to say you didn't like the card, you didn't get the benefits from it, whatever it may be, right? You can downgrade easily. And then I took the Barclays Aviator Red from 5 to 7K. They're super stingy. They didn't even want to give me double. I asked for 10 and they counter with 7, whatever. Um, Built, I went from 10 to 15K. I kind of kept it really conservative with Built just because I was requesting credit limit increases everywhere and I didn't want to test the waters too much with them. Sometimes I don't want to bite off more than I can actually chew. So, and I haven't gone for the Navy Federal credit card credit limit increase, but that is coming soon. And then also I opened an LLC. I opened an LLC during that time because I now want to go for business funding. And now you can do sole proprietorship business funding and LLC business funding. I want to do both. So I opened up a LLC to let it age, and while my LLC and my personal credit ages, because I just did this huge spree, it took my average age of accounts down. I want to let my personal credit and my LLC age for probably about, another 6 months to 8 months. I'll probably wait a little bit longer so that way I can get better results. I'll build more relationships with businesses and, all these different banks I want business credit from, and then I'll map out my business funding sequence, literally to the T, what banks pull from Experian, what banks pull from Equifax, what banks pull from TransUnion. Do I want 0% APR or do I just want hard limit credit cards? All these different things, right? Am I going to go do the Amex spree? That is what is next for me and on my credit journey on, how I'm going to utilize this great personal credit profile that I have to obtain real business funding, right? To where I can make these investments or, start up Amazon FBA like Jerry might, or do all these different things that I really want to deploy my capital and, make some money off of.